Navarro on the run. Navarro's going to keep it. Navarro for 6. Touchdown, Bobcats.
I feel I had a hard time staying in my own lane.
Oh my goodness!
Brett Murdoch, pick 6. Harbath inside the 30, the 20. Blake Harbath will score.
And Mendoza takes a big hit. He never saw it coming. Trey White got in there.
There's his man, Rucker. And nobody's going to catch him. Goodbye.
Intercepted.
Tyree Skipper, touchdown.
Telly again, why not? A step forward and make it 2 for Telly.
Quarterback keeper showing off the speed, steps on the gas, untouched.
The G5 Hive. All G5, all the time.
Welcome to the G5 Hive Live. We are excited to kick off the 2025 college football season with you. And as always, we'll be bringing you G5 college football coverage that you love each and every week. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. If you're watching us on X, please give us a follow, a like, and a retweet. If you're listening to us in podcast form, please rate and review. I am Luke, and I'm joined by my co-host, Justice. And tonight, we are joined by a special guest, Colton Pool from Hero Sports, to help us kick off the 2025 college football season. Welcome back, Justice, and thanks for joining us tonight, Colton.
Yeah, absolutely. This will be fun.
Yeah,
Can't wait. It's just been doing this Worker Bee series, and I'm different. This is a different intro. I'm used to. I've got this whole other verse just memorized, and I couldn't do that tonight.
Yeah, I'm excited to get back. College football's here, less than 2 weeks. Week 0 starting off, and excited for another season of G5 Hive Live, so to speak. Colton, before we kind of jump into things, I want to kind of give you an opportunity to kind of tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and Hero Sports and what you guys do over there.
Yeah. First of all, thanks for having me. Thanks for the opportunity to be on here. I've been on Hero Sports. This will be season 3 for me now. Hero Sports has covered FCS football for a number of years. My colleague Sam Herder was kind of spearheading that. And then, a couple years ago, they wanted to expand into the group of 5. And then I kind of came into the equation. And now we sort of cover the sort of mid-major level of college football together. It's certainly I guess a subset of college football that is super fun to watch and seems to be more and more swept under the rug, we'll say, by the bigger national spotlights. So I love doing this. I love covering these teams, and like I said, it's fun. It's fun football, So that's a little bit about me.
All right, let's move on over to Conference USA. Let's go through the dark horses and sleepers. I'll go first on this one. I'm going to go MTSU. I'm going to take Middle Tennessee in this one as my dark horse. Looking at their schedule, you get Austin P. You've got Wisconsin. Fickle might be on the hot seat there. I don't know if I anticipate them winning that game, but when you look at the Power 4 schools that they play, it's just Wisconsin. Go to Nevada, a whole new Marshall team. You got Kennesaw State, who struggled last year. You get 2 new teams to CUSA in Missouri State and Delaware. In my opinion, of the 2 schools, Delaware probably is a little bit behind Missouri State for year 1. So you go to Delaware, so you get a favorable matchups there. Jacksonville State, new team. FIU, new head coach. WKU, and Sam Houston are probably your toughest games, and they're at the end of the season. So if you're realistically in the hunt and it's November 15th, like at that point, like anything can happen. You might have figured out things, injuries or whatnot, and then you end at New Mexico State. I just like how that schedule falls. You've got Viato coming back. It'll be his third year starting, second year with this coaching staff. I think they are my dark horse for CUSA. Colton, who do you have?
Well, you stole my pick. I'm Middle Tennessee as well. For all the reasons that you mentioned already. I mean, the schedule is pretty favorable. And Nick Vadiato, he's a stud. I think he's gonna be top quarterback in the G5. In the conference there. And yeah. So if I were to get another team, it would be the team that is a very dark horse, a very outside pick here, and maybe this year, not this isn't the year for them, but South State. I think Jerry Mack is a good coach, and I think put a good together. Maybe not this year, but the coming years, that's a team to watch.
Justice, who do you have as your dark horse sleeper?
Well, I'm different than both of you. Think we have some variety here, but my dark horse is the UTEP Miners. I think Scotty Walden is a really good coach, high energy guy, and I think the conference schedule, kind of sets up for them to be able to be that dark horse. They don't play Western Kentucky in the regular season. They do play Liberty, but they get Liberty at home. That their non-conference schedule is somewhat hard. You play at Texas, right? But they have Utah State, UL Monroe, and UT Martin. I mean, I feel like they can come out of there with 2 or 3 wins, and then you jump into the conference schedule with Louisiana Tech at home, Liberty at home, at Sam Houston, at Kennesaw, home against Jacksonville, at Missouri State, home against New Mexico State, and then at Delaware. I just feel like, in year 2, Scotty Walden's going to have the Miners. They're going to, last year it seemed like they just could never really get over the hump. Like they were always competitive in the games, but they just could never win. And that reminds me a lot of Sam Houston from 2023, where, Sam Houston, I think, might have been the last, FBS
team to get a win.
Yeah, to actually get a win. And so, but it was the same kind of MO. They were in every single game. They were there till the end. They just never could get over that hump. And I feel like kind of UTEP was that way last year. And so they're kind of like my dark horse, I think, to make it to the Conference USA Championship game, avoiding, I don't think I'm letting the cat out of the bag here, but I think there's a clear top 2 teams in this league. And I have no doubt that all 3 of us are going to have the same 2 teams in the championship game, but they avoid one of those teams in the regular season, not having to play Western Kentucky. So for that reason, UTEP's kind of my dark horse.
All right, let's move over to the Conference USA Championship games. I have, maybe people won't believe it, I have Liberty versus Western Kentucky. That's my championship game. When you look at Liberty, obviously, they just have a pretty easy schedule. You got Maine at Jacksonville State, at Bowling Green. It's got a new team, new coach. Their tough game would be at home against James Madison and at Old Dominion. I think those are like 2 make or break games. Then at UTEP, but then they have a pretty light end of the year where you have New Mexico State, Delaware, Missouri State, both at home. Go to FIU, La Tech, and then finish at home against Kennesaw State. You've got kind of like 2. You've got 3 games to kind of prepare for that James Madison game and Old Dominion, and I feel like that's their make or break part of their schedule. while Western Kentucky, they actually have a lot of turnover on the defense. I think that was the hard part of me picking Western Kentucky, but I think they brought in a lot of good talent there. The one that's, I think we'll know right away. They get Sam Houston at home week 0. That'll be a huge game right off the bat. I definitely don't like those games being in week 0, conference games. Just doesn't make a lot of sense for me. But when you look at the rest of their schedule, they go to Toledo. I think they're just going to be kind of like battle tested in a sense, and they get those teams early. So like Sam Houston, new head coach. Obviously, you've got Hunter Watson coming back, but they're changing the offense. So if you're going to get if you're going to make a stand, it's going to be early in the season. That's when you want these teams when they're trying to figure out who they are. And then at the end of the year, you've got LSU as their tough game out of conference, but obviously doesn't really matter a whole bunch when it comes to a championship. Colton, who do you got?
Yeah, great minds think alike, right? Western Kentucky, Liberty. Two, coaching staffs that have been there for a bit now, two proven coaching staffs, two teams that both have some talent coming back, a ton of talent coming in, and yeah, I think it's almost by I won't say process elimination, but those two just stand out above the rest in the rest of the league. There's certainly teams that could be in the mix and will be in the mix, but as of right now, as we sit here in August, it's just tough. It's just tough to not pick those two. But I like your point, Luke, about Western Kentucky, Houston. I think there's both of those teams are going to have something to prove right off the bat. If Western Kentucky is going to be a real Conference USA contender, then they've got to take care of business against Sam Houston. And if Sam Houston, if they want to be back in the mix, even with Phil Longo now still as coach, if they want to be contending for a conference title, then they've got to be at least competitive in that game and prove that they're a team to watch as well. So, but all to say, I mean, it's Western Kentucky for me.
Justice?
Shocker. Western Kentucky against Liberty.
Going New Mexico State versus FIU.
Book it.
The one thing I will add, which I think makes it even more difficult for any of our sleepers to make it to the championship game, is that Western Kentucky and Liberty do not play each other in the regular season. And so I think, I just don't know who else is going to beat either of those teams in conference. I feel like if they played each other, then one of them's going to have one loss, and so maybe someone else can sneak in there. But I think the fact that they don't play each other in conference is it's going to be hard for another team to kind of sneak into that Conference USA championship game. It does worry me that one of those two teams, and I think I even said it on a episode of the College Huddle. I don't know, it's probably been a month now since we did that, Luke, but I think I picked Western Kentucky as my G5 rep. And it's not because it's not that I don't think they're good, but I picked them because of, I think they're very likely to have the best record. I don't necessarily think they're the best team in the G5, but I do think it's a very real possibility that they only have one loss on the season, and that's against LSU in Week 13. They do play, in my opinion, one of the best G5 versus G5 non-conference games of the year. Western Kentucky plays at Toledo Week 2, and I think that game can be a big, can potentially have a big impact in who that G5 representative is for the college football playoff. But yeah, Western Kentucky and Liberty, pretty easy choices for me in the Conference USA championship game.
All right, championship winners. I've got Western Kentucky. Abilene Christian brings in, or a new OC comes in from Abilene Christian. You bring in Maverick MacGyver. I think things just kind of. It's not like your Houston Baptist. It's not like that, but I think it's just things are going to be clicking. It's some continuity. I think things will be fine for Western Kentucky, and I think that because they are battle tested, because they play Toledo early, they'll have Sam Houston early, and then they kind of rest up towards the end of the year. I think Western Kentucky is going to win CUSA. Colton?
I agree, and they lost some talent, but they also have, I think, the top transfer class this season in CUSA. So I think there's going to be some new faces, but there's going to be some players like Maverick MacGyver. I think they're going to be they're going to mesh pretty well pretty early. So I'm going WKU.
Well, it's going to be a trifecta. I'm going Western Kentucky as well. All the reasons you guys already shared. I will say, like Liberty, I feel like last year's Liberty team severely underperformed in regards to the level of talent that team had. Not really sure why or what caused that, but I feel like this year's team has less talent than they did a year ago. Losing Caden Salter. Not a knock on Ethan Vasco, but he's not. I don't think he's of the same caliber of Caden Salter. Cooley. They lose Quentin Cooley at running back. I think they'll, from a production standpoint, they're probably going to end up being okay in the unit as a whole. But I don't know that there's one running back as talented as Quentin Cooley on that roster. And then probably the biggest difference for me was the defensive losses they suffered after the spring. Losing TJ Bush, defensive end, all conference, first team defensive end. I believe he went to Cal, I believe. They also lost defensive tackle Chris Bodie. And I just feel like that defense is going to take a step back. Those were two key guys along that defensive line. I do like Liberty's secondary. I think they might have the best. They might have the best secondary in Conference USA, but I just feel like overall the talent on that team takes a little bit of a step back from a year ago. And to you guys' point, I think Western Kentucky, made some great additions in the portal with Maverick MacGyver, wide receiver Matthew Henry, and I just think the Hilltoppers are going to be clicking on all cylinders and win Conference USA, and maybe they will be the G5 rep in the college football playoffs.
We got Josh on YouTube. He says, "Get ready to learn the Cats." I don't hate that, but I think they have a heck of an out of conference schedule. Obviously, you got WKU to start off, but then UNLV, then you go to Hawaii, then you go to Texas. Like you gotta stay healthy during those games. The Hawaii one, obviously going to Hawaii, that'll be a tough just road trip in general. But then you've got to go to Oregon State. That's probably your hardest game for the rest of the schedule. Something that probably not a lot of people are talking about, though, it's that stadium renovations. You have to travel down to Dallas. I think it's just 45 minutes, but not on a game day. Maybe it's Houston. And so you've got that extra travel. So let's just say, you've got an hour and a half, 2-hour drive for your home game. Granted, you only have to do it once a week, but I think that kind of plays into it. You're not playing at your home stadium. How well is the crowd going to travel? Is your home game an actual home game? Those are some things.
And also for I think Phil Longo's a good coach, but I think expecting conference title on year one, that'll be tough.
Yeah, and they lose so much. I feel like Sam Houston and Jacksonville State lose so much talent, especially on the defensive side of the ball for both of those teams. And so I think, while they were both kind of surprises a year ago, I feel like both, aren't going to necessarily live up to what they did a year ago just because of the loss of talent. And then, like Luke's point, I think, you do return Hunter Watson, but Phil Longo's offensive style is a little bit different than what we saw out of the Bearcats last year. And so I am slightly concerned of how Hunter Watson fits in a Phil Longo offense. But I'm interested to see how it works out, because I think if it does work out, it'll be pretty special. But the defense for the Bearcats really concerns me.
I think they're going to run the ball. I think Elijah Green's going to have a big year for Sam Houston. Try to keep that defense off the field and run the ball and control. Colton, we want to thank you for joining us tonight to help us kick off the 2025 college football season. Before we can go, can you tell our listeners where they can find you, Hero Sports, and maybe some things that you have coming up this season?
Yeah, you find all our stuff at Hero Sports News on X, Twitter, and then I'm at C Pool Reporter. And then Hero Sports, where we have all our content. We are doing a preview on every single G5 team, as well as our other FCS content. We've got our preseason All-America teams and top 25 coming out this week, and we'll have a top 25, which again you guys are partaking in, and thank you for that. We're gonna be writing all sorts of stuff. Game previews, some betting content, some features, analysis, you name it, we'll have it there. And like in true Group of Five fashion, starting the show late and ending it, at least Eastern time, ending it the next day. So respect to you guys for doing this, and thank you for having me.
Well, Colton, absolutely, would love to have you back another time and do it again.
Absolutely.
This is our first live show of the kind of kicking off the 2025 season. We hope everyone has enjoyed the 2025 edition of our Worker Bee series, where we deep dive into every G5 college football team, bringing you the most comprehensive team previews available. But stay tuned, as we still have a few more of those episodes coming out over the next 2 weeks. Also, if you've not had a chance to check out our player interviews, we've done over 20 this offseason. Please do that, as we get to know a lot of very special young men who will be making big impacts on and off the field in 2025. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. On X, give us a follow. And if you're listening on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify, please subscribe and leave those 5-star ratings and reviews. We are so grateful for the immense amount of support we have received this year. We hit a couple big milestones since we last went live. We hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Let's go.
We got a shout out on the Solid Verbal for our Worker Bee series, and none of that happens without you guys, without your support. So kudos to you guys. We sincerely thank each and every one of you. And with that, be sure to join us next week as we preview week 0 of the 2025 season, and we will talk about the Hero Sports G5 Top 25 preseason poll. We'll break down what the consensus was, what our differences were, and maybe who we have ranked, who didn't make it in the consensus, and all that. Be sure to join us next Monday, 10:30 p.m. Eastern. And until then, we are the G5 Hive.